All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the online webinar session with Cambridge Education Group. We've got Himali here today, who is the Regional Manager for UK. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the online
Hello, everyone. I am Himali Inamda. I am here to represent Cambridge Education Group on campus. I am the regional manager, so all of your applications, your inquiries will all be dealt with myself. I'm just going to take you through a presentation of who we are, what we do, and how I can help you access a leading university in the UK and Europe, and the processes you have to go through in order to come and study with us this year, hopefully. So, as you can see here, we work all over the world. So our main campuses are over UK and Europe. We are also based in the US as well. Who we are is we are pathway providers. So we offer foundation programs, international year one, medicine foundation programs, pre-masters, and also graduate diploma programs as well. So for students who cannot get direct entry into universities, or for students who would like a top-up, this would be your best option in order for you to come and study in the UK or Europe. As you can see here, there is a map of all of our campuses and where we are based. I will be focusing the session today on the UK campuses, as the deadline for our European universities has unfortunately already passed for this year. But as you can see, we also work in Sweden and in Amsterdam, but we will be focusing on our UK centres for this session. So, a lot of people always ask me, why would I come to a pathway program? What are the benefits? And why would I come to On Campus? So On Campus are a very unique program. We are dedicated specifically to international students. So all of our curriculum is catered to students who have not studied the UK curriculum previously. So we allow 12 hours of extra tuition, one-to-one with your tutors. And that basically means if you are struggling with any assignments, you know, any of your personal statements, any homework or any submissions that you have one-to-one support with your teachers, free of charge, so you don't have to pay for this, alongside your classes and your lectures that you are already enrolled into as well. So you can pick and choose the times that you want to spend with your tutors in order to help with the modules that you are struggling with. With us, you have 3 academic modules and 1 module of English, depending on which pathway program you come to. I will touch on the different pathways that we offer, depending on which pre-sessional program you choose to come to. This is basically to help you prepare for your university. Now, we hold social groups, we hold social activities, you have insight into the university itself. We are based at the university itself. So the main difference between you and a direct university student would be that you would be accessing your classes in our on-campus building, which is based on the university site. So you would still have a university ID card where you can access all the grounds of the university, so you can access their libraries, their sport clubs, their gyms, their social groups. You are part of the university from day one, so there is not much that separates you from direct university students. The main thing is that we have smaller class sizes, you get extra one-to-one tuition, and we are preparing you to get to that higher standard of education for you to then progress onto your degree or your either your undergraduate or your postgraduate degree, or even year 2 of the degree, in order for you to progress onto that successfully, and for you to be at the right standard as a UK student as well. So that is why we offer pathway programs. It is a very popular program. You know, we recruit from over 126 countries, and we have over 126 nationalities as well. So we are recruiting from everywhere. You will be in mixed nationalities in classes. You will have people who are on the same English level as you, so that you are all learning and progressing together. And your classes will only be 15 students maximum. Most of our classes usually only have 10 to 12 students in as well. So it gives you that time for you to actually socialize with your class members and for you to actually build your relationships as well. And so it's not too overwhelming if you do need any additional help, where you can have that one-to-one contact with your classmates and your teachers. It is great because we do offer social activities. So we do, ensure that you guys are having the best of studying abroad and really accessing everything about it. So accessing the city that you're living in. We also have accommodation for our students. We're always putting, day trips into London, day trips to different museums and things like that, which are optional that you can choose to go to. And our teachers and our centre staff are always on hand to help you with anything that you may be struggling with. And all of our accommodation is based very close to university as well. We have different options available, whether you want en suites, whether you want shared accommodation, whether you want studio accommodation. We do have a range of facilities depending on what it is that you are looking for. What I'm going to do is just run through a couple more slides. If you do have any questions, please do put them in the comment box on the YouTube, and I will answer them when the session is over. So at the moment, obviously due to COVID, the way that we have operated has changed. The industry, the centres, everything has had to change. We've had to put one-way systems in. We have had to adapt a lot of different aspects to the way that we do teach. Obviously, making sure that we are keeping in line with government guidance and making sure that we are keeping in line with the social distancing, but making sure that you guys are still able to access university as best you can and in centre as best you can and as safely as you can as well. So here there's just a nice little diagram of things that we have put into place to make sure that you guys are still able to access your university learning on site. However, it is very safe and we are making sure that we are keeping with government guidelines as well. So we have a whole team for our operational resource management who are putting the health and safety in place. So all of this has been mapped and tested out, and we are making sure that we are reducing our class sizes even more to make sure that you guys are safe when you are studying with us. So as you can see, we have got social distancing in place. Students and teachers will be required to wear PPE. You will be required to wear PPE on public transport. Now that is a guideline for the UK itself. So most of you will know that the UK has reopened and we are sort of getting into a new normal, which means that businesses have gone back to normal. Schools are reopening from next week and colleges and universities are due to reopen as well. So we're just making sure that we are also doing the same thing, but making sure that you guys have everything that you need available. So PPE will be supplied to you guys when you actually arrive on campus and when you arrive to our accommodation. So if you don't have any with you, then we will obviously supply that for you guys. There will be hand sanitizer bottles available for you guys as part of your induction, but there will also be, there are newly installed hand sanitizer bottles available throughout the university campuses to make sure that you guys are frequently sanitizing your hands. Obviously, there will be toilet facilities and hand washing basins available for you guys to make sure that you are frequently washing your hands as well. We have regular cleaning. We have hired more cleaning staff across all of our campuses, and we are making sure that we are leaving enough gap between our classes to make sure that everything has been cleaned in between students coming in and out of each room. We are trying to make sure that there's not too much moving around the centre, so we're making sure that our teachers are doing most of the moving rather than our students, to make sure that there is less people and bodies moving throughout the corridors and things like that. There will also be social distancing in place in accommodations. So in terms of you guys, if you want to come in into a shared facility, things like kitchens, bathrooms, there will be limits on how many people can go in at once, and there will be a rota and making sure that everything is cleaned in between people going in and out. In terms of sports, the indoor sports at the minute have been postponed. However, we are operating all of our outdoor sports and our outdoor social clubs. We are trying to make sure that we can do as much outside as possible to make sure that you guys are in as much fresh air as you can be, and it's easier for us to social distance. And we're just making sure that your well-being and your safety is at our top priority while you are in our centres. Pubs, clubs, cinemas, restaurants, everything has reopened now. Obviously on site in the social clubs, it will be a limit of how many people can be in there at once. And again, we will try and maintain as much as we can to stay outside, and we are obviously benefited and blessed with lovely campuses with lots of greenery, so hopefully we can move some things outside as well. There will be one-way systems operating in all of our buildings. There will be a door for you to enter and a door for you to exit. You will not be able to double back on yourself, so you will be required to go all the way around the building in order for you to come in and out as well, to make sure you are not crossing paths with too many people. And in terms of just general life in the UK at the moment, there are screens up in shops. Like I said, there's public transport, there's masks and PPE that you need to wear on public transport. But other than that, things have reopened, like I said, shops, bars, restaurants, everything has kind of reopened, and people are trying to get back into the new normal routine as we can. In terms of our intakes this year, obviously our centres have always practiced face-to-face. You would always come and study on campus, and you would physically be in our centre. We have taken into consideration that not all visa application centres are open. Not all students are able to get English requirements and IELTS. Not all borders are open, and not all countries have flights coming in and out of the UK. So we have taken everything on board, and that's why we have got a slightly more flexible process this year. So we have 2 different intakes coming up. So we have option A, which is a face-to-face complete program. So that would start on 2nd November, and the entire program would be face-to-face. So that is the top one, option A. So you would do your program November to June, and then you would progress onto your degree in September 2021. The free online pre-program is basically just an induction. So what you would do is you would sign on. We would send you a link once you have enrolled with us, and just a couple of weeks before you arrive in the UK, you'll be able to meet with your lecturers, your teachers, the other students that are going to be on the same program as you, just to get you into routine, and you can access your timetables and things like that. And we would give you any reading materials that we would require you to complete. And then you would start face-to-face in centre in November. Option B would be a blended learning approach. So you would start your course online from the 14th September, and then you would apply for your visa and come and study face-to-face from January till June, and then you would progress on to your degree in September 2021. So with this model, you would do 1 term online and 2 terms face-to-face. So this is for students who can't quite travel just yet. However, they definitely want to join us this year, just to give you a bit more time to get your documents in order and for you to be able to apply for your visa, but to make sure that you're not missing out in this year's enrollment, so you don't have to wait till January. Option C, if you don't want to come in November and you don't want to come in September, then option C would be a January face-to-face start. So that's where we are at the moment. With all 3 of these, your progression degree would start in September 2021. So just to repeat that, you either have option A, which is a complete face-to-face program. So you would be learning your whole program face-to-face in our centre. So that's November till June. Or option B is you start online in September for 1 term, September to December, and then you would come and study face-to-face on campus from January till June. The third option would be you start in January and finish in August, and that would all be face-to-face as well. So those would be your 3 options that are coming up in terms of coming and studying in the UK. So great news is that there is still availability for you to actually come to the UK and start face-to-face in November. As I mentioned, if you do have any questions, please do make sure that you are commenting in the box, and we will answer these at the end of the session. So just to go back to the centres that we offer and the programs that we offer. So we offer a foundation program, which is a pre-sessional program, and you progress onto year 1 of your degree. Now, we offer this at all of our centres. As you can see, we work with UCAM, we work with Coventry, we work with Reading, we work with Queen Mary, LSBU, Hull, Sunderland, Birkbeck, Goldsmiths. So we have a range of different universities under our portfolio where you would be able to study your foundation program. And then we also offer International Year 1. Now, International Year 1 gives you progression onto year 2 of your degree. So this is for students who have a slightly higher English level and also have slightly higher academics. However, they don't meet direct entry into university. For these students, it would be a blended program of your foundation and the first year of your degree. So you would then progress on to year 2 of your degree. So it's very similar to direct entry, but it's only available for engineering and business pathways. We have an art and design pathway at Coventry, but that is not running up until January due to capacity. So at the moment, if you want to come for international year 1, it is only under the engineering and business pathways. We also have a dedicated medicine foundation program. Now, this is specifically for students who want to only study medicine. If you want to study anything like biochemistry, biomedicine, nursing, things like that, then you would come under the life sciences pathway. So that would be slightly different. This medicine pathway is mainly for students who want to become doctors, who want to graduate with their MBBS. This is only available at UCLan, so our on-campus UK North Centre. Students who pass that foundation will progress only onto UCLan University. There is options for them to progress onto RCSI in Ireland, to St George's University in Granada, and to the University of Nicosia in Cyprus, if they would like to. But most of our students do progress onto University of Lancashire. Now, in terms of our progression rates, in terms of 2019, 90% of our medicine foundation students progressed onto UCLan. So it is a very high number. It is a very high pressure foundation. So this is for students who really, really want to just study and become a doctor. We do have an entrance test for this, an entrance interview, and we do require a personal statement as well from students. And it is a guaranteed interview at UCLan once you pass our foundation. The English requirement to come on the medicine foundation is also slightly higher than our standard foundations, purely because most of the work that you do on the program will be face-to-face with patients and in hospitals. So you would need to have a good level of English in order to have these conversations with patients. The other program that we do is a pre-master's program. So the pre-master's is for anyone that has a bachelor's program and wants to slightly get a bit of a top up before they actually start their postgrad degree itself. Now, we offer this in 1 term, 2 term, and 3 term. What that basically means is you can come for a 1-term program if your English is quite high. So for example, if you have English level of 6.0, you would be able to come to a 1-term program, which is only 3 months, and you would be able to then progress onto your postgraduate degree. The same with 2 terms, which is 6 months, and the same with 3 terms, which is 9 months. So it would depend on your English level to which program you would be able to be admitted on. The lower your English, the more terms you have to do, obviously, for you to be able to get to a higher level of English where the rest of your classmates would be on as well. So those would be our main programs that we offer. Our foundation and international year 1 programs are all 3 terms, so they would all be 9 months. We don't have any shorter programs. So if you want to come and do a foundation or international year 1, it would be a full academic year, which would be 9 months of on-campus based learning. So as I mentioned, these are available at our UK centres. The benefits of coming to us is we do offer guaranteed progression at most of our centres. So for example, if you come and you study a foundation at Coventry University, you would have guaranteed progression onto the degree itself, as long as you pass our foundation with a 40% minimum. This does vary depending on which program you do. For example, if you're coming to do a biomedicine or a nursing program, the pass mark is slightly higher. It would be around 50 to 60%. However, for most of our generic business and engineering degrees, you would need to pass the foundation or the international year 1 with 40% in order to progress onto the university itself. In terms of our pathways, as I mentioned, it would depend on your progression degree. So we would put you on this pathway ourselves. You wouldn't need to figure out which pathway you're on. You would just need to tell us which progression degree you would like to study. after the pre-sessional program, and we would then put you on the correct pre-sessional program for you. So we offer engineering, an engineering pathway, we offer a business and finance management pathway, we offer a life sciences pathway, we offer art and design pathway, we offer a medicine pathway, and we offer a humanities and social sciences pathway as well. So we have a huge range of degrees, scoping all the way from engineering to business to law to management to art to design to media to nursing to biomedicine. If you want to specialize in certain aspects of that degree as well, that option is also available. So most of this information in terms of what progression degrees we offer will all be on our website. So that's www.oncampus.global. And you will be able to find all the details with the foundation programs we offer and also the progression degrees available for yourselves as well. So as I mentioned, these are the university partners available for you guys to apply to. There is still opportunity for you to apply this September and also this November as well. So just to reiterate, the September program is 1 term online, which means September to December online. And then you would apply for your visa and come and study in center from January till June. And then we also have a completely different intake starting in November, where the whole program would be face-to-face, so you wouldn't have an online module. Unfortunately, there is not an option for you to start online in September and come face-to-face in November. These are 2 complete different programs and 2 different learning approaches. So you would either need to come and start online in September, face-to-face in January, or face-to-face from November. So please do bear that in mind when you are making applications. Recently, I've been asked a lot of questions in terms of CASs, going back home, visa immigration, things like that. I'm not going to touch too much on it. At the moment, for most of our centers and most of our programs, students do need to go back home in between. So you would have 1 CAS that is issued for you to do our pre-sessional program with On-Campus Cambridge Education Group. And then you would need to go home and reapply for another visa for your progression degree, so whether that be postgrad or undergrad degree. Now, with regards to COVID and UKVI and the new policies that are coming out, they have said that students can also extend in country. It would just depend on their situation. So as the days go on and as the weeks go on and as, obviously the COVID situation is changing daily, I will know more once you submit your application. So if you do have any specific inquiries about visas, I probably won't answer them right now today, but please do drop me an email and I can have a look at your case, as it will be on a case-by-case basis. But the general rule is that you will get 2 different CAS statements, one for the pre-sessional program and one for the degree itself. In terms of fees, academic requirements, scholarships and things like that, the fees range depending on which centre you go to. So we have price sensitive centres, for example, Sunderland and London South Bank are quite price sensitive. So they're around £12,000 to £13,000 for the fees for a year. But then we also have our slightly more expensive centres and also our slightly more high ranked centres. So they would be, Compton, Queen Mary, London, UCLan and places like that. And those are slightly higher price. So they range between £15,000 to £18,000, depending on which program you come under and which centre you go over. So again, each of our centres and each of our programs are priced completely differently. A business program would be a lot cheaper than an engineering program because you wouldn't be accessing things like laboratories and workshops and things like that. So that's why there's a difference in price. So again, I won't go into detail of every single centre. If you have a specific centre inquiry, please do email me and I can let you know exactly how much that particular program will cost you. In terms of scholarships, it is a case-by-case basis. At the moment, we are offering a £4,000 discount for students that are coming to On Campus London only, which is our Birkbeck Centre, and that is only for the next 4 weeks. So any applications and payments received after that will not benefit from this discount. Other than that, scholarships are done on a case-by-case basis depending on your English level. So not all students would be able to be approved for a scholarship. You would need to send me your academics and your English, and I would need to assess that. In terms of English, At the moment, if you are coming to the November face-to-face intake, because we would need to sponsor you for a Tier 4 visa, you would be required to have a UKVI authorised English test. So that basically is a Pearson PTE for UKVI, a language cert B1 for UKVI, or UKVI IELTS. So those are the 3 English tests that we can currently accept if you are coming face-to-face in November. If you are choosing to start online in September, we can accept most English tests. So we can accept things like Duolingo, Pearson, TOEFL, IELTS, standard academic. We have a whole range of different ones. So we are slightly more flexible if you are starting online, as we don't have to sponsor you for the visa for the first term. So that would be the difference, depending on what English you have at the moment as well. So that is it from me. As mentioned, if you do have any questions, please do just pop them in the chat box and we will answer them now. Just to give you a bit of information for me, if you want to get in touch, as I mentioned before, my name is Himali Ananda. I am the regional manager for OnCampus. My email address is hnamda@cg-uk.com and our website is www.oncampus.global. So you can see all of the details here on the screen. And yes, I will take any questions that you might have now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for the really informative session, Himali. We have actually got a few questions come through via YouTube. So yes, like Himali said, if you've got any other questions, just keep them coming in the chat. So everyone kind of started off by introducing themselves. So we've got students from Luton, Argentina, Zimbabwe. So yeah, just a warm welcome to everybody who's here. So very first question is actually from Cami. And they're asking if there are any scholarships available from CEG.
Okay, yes. So in terms of scholarships, as mentioned, we do have scholarships available. It is on a case-by-case basis. So you would need to send me your academics and your English level, and we would be able to see if we can offer you a scholarship that way. As I mentioned, at the moment, if you're applying to On Campus London, which is based at our Birkbeck Centre, we are offering a £4,000 scholarship to students, but that is only valid for the next 4 weeks.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Himali. And the next question we've got is from Kirill. They're asking, when can I apply for studying on campus for the year 2021? And when is booking for next year? So I guess they want to know about the different intakes.
Sure. So in terms of 2021, so we have an intake in January. We will also have an intake in the spring. So that will be in May. And then we will have another intake in September. So January and September are our main intakes, but we do also have one in the spring as well. Applications for 2021 are open now. So you are very welcome to apply and we can send you an offer letter for 2021 now.
Perfect. The next question we've got is from Dion. So they're asking about how do we deal with the difference in examination boards? Like in their case, they said their certificates are compiled using the local board. So how do you kind of assess local qualifications, I guess is what they're asking.
Okay, so with regards to obviously, we are targeted at international students, so we internally assess all of the academics. So we do always have applications coming in which have academics from all over the world, and we have a whole spreadsheet to see what we can and cannot accept. So we have a whole academic team based in centre, and they do put it against the requirements that we have to make sure that we are accepting the right students. If you are sending us academics that we've never seen before, we also have a higher education team that can authorize that for us, whether we can accept it or not. So in terms of documents and grades coming in, we already have a whole spreadsheet of what we can and can't accept in terms of conversion.
Brilliant. And the next question we've got is from Planet Marzu. So they're asking if they're looking for a law university in London and they want to apply for an LLB program in September. So if you can tell them a little bit more about that.
Sure. So if you want to come and do an LLB program in London, the 2 options that you have are our on-campus London Centre, which is based at Birkbeck, or our London South Bank Centre. Now, both of these centres offer the humanities pathway, which progress onto law itself. So it depends on which location you want to go to and what your price range is as well. With On Campus London, which is based at Birkbeck, you have the option to progress onto other higher ranked universities in the UK. So we've had students progress onto places like, Queen Mary, Durham, King's, LSE, places like that. So if you are looking for a higher ranked university, then I would probably recommend On Campus London, depending on what your budget is, as it is slightly more expensive. If you are just looking for a standard degree based in London at a good university, then London South Bank would be a more affordable choice for you as well. So it would just depend on what your budget is and where you want to study in the UK. With London South Bank, it is guaranteed progression onto the degree. With On Campus London, it isn't. So you would we would have reapply for you. So it's only guaranteed to Birkbeck. You wouldn't be guaranteed to any of the other universities in the UK if you were to apply for a high ranked university. In terms of your foundation, you would do 3 academic modules. You would come under the humanities and social sciences pathway. You would do 3 academic modules targeted at law itself, and then you would do an academic module of English alongside that as well. So it would be 4 modules that you would need to pass in order to progress on to LLB.
Great. Yeah, and the students also just said thank you to you, Himali, for answering that question. There is another question from the same student. So they're asking if you can give some guidance with regards to student loan.
Okay, so student loan. We do not accept student loan, I'm afraid. Student loan is only accepted directly at universities. If you are a student in the UK with a British passport and you are wanting to benefit from the student loan, we unfortunately cannot accept that. We can only accept self-funded students. If you are applying from the Middle East, we can accept sponsored students from their government, but we cannot accept any UK student loans paid into us, and that is because we are private. We are not the public sector, so it would need to be self-funded, I'm afraid.
Okay, hopefully that answers your question, Planet. And then we've got another question from Faizan. So Faizan's asking that they've applied for an EU settlement, but has not received a decision yet. So I don't know if there's anything you can say with regards to the EU settlement status and how students can apply for that.
Okay, with the EU settlement scheme, very good question. So this actually, students can only benefit for it for this year. So if you are looking to make use of that scheme, you can only apply to our September and November intakes. You cannot, you can come to our January intake, but you wouldn't be able to apply for an EU settlement scheme. So the EU settlement scheme, you need to apply for it by the 31st December 2020. At midnight, the scheme will finish and they will no longer take any more applications. So it is vital, if you are wanting to do that, to come and study at either our September or November intakes, and you would need to be in the UK by the 31st December 2020 in order for your application to be processed. There is a slight backlog. Obviously, I don't have the full information about the settlement scheme, as we don't really get updated about that by immigration. However, I am aware that there is a slight backlog, but you should hear, if you process your application, you should hear up in about, I think it usually takes around 8 to 12 weeks for them to get back to you. So do just keep an eye on that. If you don't hear back from them, do give them a call and they should be able to look into your application for you. But yes, good question. If you do want to make use of the EU settlement scheme, it has to be this year. So do just be aware of that.
Yeah, and I think that's really valid for any other students listening in as well. We've got another question from Verity Rose. So the question is with regards to the English language requirements. So she's asking, is IELTS mandatory or is TOEFL enough?
So IELTS is mandatory. Now, as mentioned previously in the presentation, so if you are coming to the September intake, which is 1 term online, we can accept TOEFL as well because we're not sponsoring you for a visa. When you come in January, you can come under short-term study visa as it's only a 6-month program with what you have remaining. If you are wanting to come and study face-to-face on campus in November, you would need to have UKVI IELTS for a Tier 4 visa. If you are a student who doesn't need a visa, for example, if you're already here on a dependent visa, or you have EU passport, which at the minute you don't need a visa. Obviously next year that will change. Then yes, we can accept TOEFL. And the UK VI IELTS is only for students who need a Tier 4 visa, which is why we can't accept other CELT qualifications.
Great, thank you, Himali. And then we've got a question from Eleanor. It's again about the law course. So she's just said, I'm interested in studying law. Can you give us some details? I think, Himali, you covered a bit of that, but I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to the law course specifically.
Yeah, I mean, with the law course, I personally find it quite interesting because what we have at our Coventry campus as well is we do have a mock courtroom. So what you will have is, as part of your learning and as part of your program with the foundation, with us, we have access to all of these facilities. You will have mock debates and mock cases and mock trial cases within that courtroom. So it will look very real to cases that you would get obviously in the outside world. So you would benefit from all of these kind of activities and engagements with your lecturers as well. So with law, what I would say is it is academic, obviously, and there is theory to it, but a lot of the stuff that we go through in the foundation itself is very practical. So we do make sure that you guys are getting really involved and you are using your voice in order to have these debates and conversations in the courtrooms, just to try and make it feel as real as it can, and for you to actually put the policies in place while you're studying, as well as we do obviously want you to be able to learn as much as you can while you're with us in the pre-sessional program. So with regards to law, as mentioned, you will do 3 academic modules. It will be under the humanities and social sciences pathway, and then you would progress onto the degree at the university, but we are quite hands-on with the foundation program.
Great. And then we've got another question again about laws. I'll just take this one first before I take any other questions. It's about
Sure.
the entry requirements for LLB.
Okay, so the entry requirements for LLB and the entry requirements for us will be different. So as mentioned, we are the pathway provider. So I wouldn't be able to tell you what direct universities would require for you to get onto an LLB. However, for us, it will depend on which university partner you want to go to. So let's say, for example, you want to come and study law at either London South Bank or Coventry. The IELTS/English requirement will be 4.5 with no element less than 4.0. In terms of the academic, it will completely depend on which country you're applying from. So that is a specific one that I would recommend you to send me an email, and I can give you the specific details for the country that you're applying from and the academics that you have actually done. Because again, it's a very broad question because people would have studied complete different education systems. So in terms of IELTS, it will be 4.5 for our program. With academics, please do just send me an email and I can tell you exactly what you would need in order to get onto that program. With regards to progression onto the university, it will be 40%. So you will need to pass the foundation with 40%. You will need to go up in IELTS, so you will need to have 5.0 IELTS. In order to progress onto the LLB degree itself.
Perfect. Thank you, Himali. And we've got a generic question which actually might help any students who don't quite understand what foundation programs are for. So the question is basically about, the student says, I want information about the foundation year, and is it compulsory for any students that have international education?
Okay, so the foundation program is a pre-sessional program. It's a program that was designed and targeted at international students only. As I mentioned, we do take UK students as well, but because we don't accept student loans, it's not a very popular program within the UK. So it is directed for students who have not studied a UK curriculum program previously. It's for students who want to study in the UK, however, they can't get direct entry into universities, or their English is quite low, or their academics are quite low, but they have good English. Then they would come to us and we would give them academic modules and we would help them with their English to make sure that they are at a good standard in order for them to progress to the university. What we usually find is if you haven't studied in the UK before, or to a country that is similar to how the UK curriculum works, you do get quite overwhelmed if you come directly into a degree. Obviously, within the UK, at a university setting, you are put in lectures, which, there's over you know, there can be over 50, 60 students in a lecture at a time, depending on which university you go to and how big it is. And you don't really get that one-to-one support with your lecturers. You are kind of left on your own to do your work. And if there is something that you're really struggling with, you do have to make appointments and things like that. So the way the UK works, it can be a bit overwhelming for international students, especially if English isn't your first language, which is why we have designed these partnerships with universities in the UK, where they actually refer us students as well who haven't met their entry requirements, and we take them onto our foundation and then they progress onto the university. The positive thing about coming under a pathway program is that for most of our centres, as I mentioned, it is guaranteed progression. You don't have to reapply. So our team look after the whole application process for you. So as soon as you have finished the pathway programme, we will get you an offer for that university as well. So you don't really have to do much. And again, you know, you make your social groups, you kind of get to know the city, you get to settle in a bit more before you then go on to the degree itself. In terms of whether it's a requirement and a necessary requirement for all students, no, it's not. You can choose to come and do one if you want to, but if you don't meet direct entry requirements, then yes, it is a necessity. You do have to do it. Not all universities will accept all academics from overseas. So you will find that if you have studied at a very small high school, which isn't very well known or very well credited, then the university will sometimes reject you, and that would mean you would need to come and do one of our programs just to get your academics up. So that is why you would come and do a pre-sessional program. However, as mentioned, we do also have International Year 1. So it's not just a foundation program. The International Year 1 gives you progression onto Year 2 of the degree. So it's very similar to Year 1 of your degree. It's just you have additional support during your International Year 1 with us.
That's great. Thank you so much for answering that question, Himali. And we've got another question from Faizan again, asking about funding in medicine. So if you can give us a little bit of information about that.
Okay, so in terms of medicine, our foundation is £20,000. In terms of progressing, so the 5 years after that, it's the degree itself at UCLan is priced at £35,000. So our foundation is actually slightly cheaper than that. As mentioned, if you want a scholarship for the medicine program itself, it will be very rare that you get this, as medicine is very competitive and most students do pay full price for it. But you would need to pick that up with the university once you progress from us. With regards to us, it is case by case, but as mentioned, you know, probably 1 in 10 students get a small scholarship with us if they're coming from medicine, purely because it is very competitive and we usually have to turn applicants down because we can only take a certain amount of students onto that program.
Perfect. And I think we've got a final question. It's more of a comment actually from a student that they've applied for a program at a university since the 20th of July for the September intake, but they're still kind of waiting for their offer letter. So do you find that there's been a bit of a delay in terms of offer issuance in general from universities this year?
Yes, I would say with us, there hasn't been. We have probably been answering quicker than we should, and that's just because, you know, we have been hiring over this time. We haven't had to let people go, so we actually have a very big admissions team, so we tend to get back to people within 48 hours maximum. However, some universities do have shortage on staff. People have gone off ill, or people are taking holidays, or, you know, they've had to let people go with COVID. So yes, there is a slight delay, but I think it does just vary on the university itself. I have heard that some universities have been quite quick to respond, some universities really haven't. I would just, as advice, would recommend that if you haven't heard back from a university, do just try and give them a call. You usually get through to them a lot quicker if you give them a call rather than emails, as you can imagine, I'm sure they have, you know, hundreds of emails in their inbox, so by the time they get to you, it could be quite late. So I would just recommend that you give them a ring and just address and make sure that they're having a look at the email that you've already sent them in terms of your application.
Yeah, that's a good tip. So Hosen, yeah, feel free to call the university and hopefully get your offer letter soon. But that's all of the questions we've got for now. And yeah, if anyone else has any questions, we will be live for a few more minutes. So yeah, please feel free to post any final questions here. But before we wrap up, Himali, was there anything else you wanted to add or say to any students who are just joining in?
What I would just say, just to everyone, wherever you are joining us from around the world, thank you for taking the time out to join this, and I hope it has been useful for you. I hope you guys are all keeping safe, but I just want to reiterate that the UK is open now. I know, there has been some reservations on travel, or whether they should, whether you should come and study this year or next year. What I would recommend is if you are wanting to study abroad, I would do it this year if you can. The reason being is when you start having gaps in education, regardless of the reason, when you are applying for UK visas, it can get quite difficult. And they do, scrutinize why you've had gaps in education. So the longer you leave it, the harder it is. So obviously, if you can, then I would really recommend that you do still apply to come this year and just make sure that your gap in education is as minimal as possible. And as mentioned, the UK is open. Things are starting to go back to as normal as possible. With the safety precautions obviously put in place. So yeah, we are very happy and very ready to welcome you guys onto our campus. And yeah, as I mentioned, we do recruit from hundreds of different countries and places and nationalities. So it is very mixed, and it's a great place. It's a really great experience, and you'll be able to see testimonials on our website of students that are already with us, and how they find the experience with us as well.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think that's all the questions from the students. So just want to say final note from SIUK as well. Yeah, Himali's on hand. You've got her contact details on the screen. So yeah, feel free to make note of it and contact her directly. You can also contact the SIUK staff at info@studyin-uk.com. So either party will be able to support you with your application. But just a big thank you to all of the students who took time to join us today. And thank you, Himali, for the presentation and for the Q&A session as well.
Yes, thank you everyone, and stay safe, and we hope to welcome you on campus soon.
All right, thank you. Thanks everybody. We're going to end this meeting now.